it happened again. Democratic Congress members ripping Trump's cabinet to shreds with brutal cross-examination as Trump's cabinet members testified in various committees in the House of Representatives. I'd like to highlight some Democrats who we haven't really profiled here on the MeidasTouch Network, who over the past 24 hours did some amazing cross-examination. For example, Congresswoman Dean. Here's her cross-examination of Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. And you'll love how Congresswoman Dean points out that when Lutnick believes America was great, was actually when America was going through a Great Depression. Play this clip.
Tariffs. I fear the administration lacks a basic understanding of what a trade deficit is. I think many economists take issue with equating a country's trade deficit with any one country and its economic well-being. Some economists actually view a trade deficit as a sign of a country's economic health because it means we're purchasing more. For me, I have a pretty large trade deficit with my local grocer or my hairdresser. It's a good thing. It means I have money enough to get my hair done once in a while and to keep food on the table. It tells nothing about my overall financial position. Do you know when this country actually had a trade surplus, Secretary?
The president likes to speak about before.
No, historically. When did we have a trade surplus? I'm not talking about the president. Historically.
I think early, about 100 years ago.
It was the Great Depression. It was a sign of what was going on. It was during the Great Depression. That's a direction none of us wants to go.
Then we have Congresswoman Dean cross-examining Howard Lutnick, Trump's Commerce Secretary, on the fact that these tariffs against the world have resulted in, say, bananas costing about 8% more at Walmart's right now. Play this clip.
What's the tariff on bananas? Americans, by the way, love bananas. We buy billions of them a year. I love bananas. What's the tariff on bananas?
The tariff on bananas would be representative of the countries that produce them.
And what's that tariff?
Generally 10%.
Correct, 10%. Walmart has already increased the cost of bananas by 8%.
But as countries do deals with us, that will go to zero. As countries do deals with us, that will go to zero. But the cost is on the American
consumer now and on the businesses with the confusion now. Mr. Secretary, I believe you know better. I believe you recognize that a trade deficit is not something to fear. I believe you know that predictability, stability is essential for businesses. I wish you would show that truth to this administration. And I yield back.
Time of the gentlelady has expired.
Do you mind, Mr. Chairman, if I make one quick comment to the end? Would that be okay?
I'm sorry?
Would you mind if I make one quick comment to the representative?
Sure. Please.
There's no uncertainty if you build in America and you produce your product in America, there will be no tariff.
We can't produce bananas in America.
Building in America and paying no tariff is very, very clear.
We cannot build bananas in America.
Time of the gentlelady has expired. Mr. Clyde?
And I love that ending where Howard Lutnick walked right into it. And Congresswoman Dean was like, we don't build bananas in the United States. Then you have Congresswoman Dean saying, do you think it was a conflict of interest when you and Donald Trump were out there in the Middle East and Trump was focusing on his personal brand and personal businesses and making that an emphasis rather than we the people? Play this clip.
Well, sounds good.
I just wonder, did you personally, or your department, whose mission that is, have any problem with the president's recent trips overseas or the development of his business and his family's business around Bitcoin, meme coin, fundraising, or investor raising dinners? Any worry with the Department of Commerce, with the president and his family growing their own business while on the job?
My trip to the Middle East was extraordinary in that we came home with $5.1 trillion of investment in America. It was amazing.
Mr. Lutnick, I'm asking you, Did the question of conflict of interest come up for the leader of the free world?
No.
No? I think you ought to have a team of lawyers take a look at that. It is grotesque, the way this president is using his office to enrich himself, his businesses, and his families. That ought to be something you're interested in.
Next up, you have Congresswoman DeLauro having zero, zip, zilch patience with Howard Lutnick. Play this clip.
I'm going to ask for your commitment to once again making the amount-specific budget documents, apportionments, how and where U.S. tax dollars are being spent by the Department of Commerce and its bureaus publicly accessible. Will you commit to doing that?
It's my understanding that my department is following the CR with precision as is required.
No, you are inaccurate, because I'll get to spend plans. We do not have details on the spend plans, which the CR requires. And it hasn't happened. We have a lack of specificity on this is at more than 5 weeks after the legal due date. We do not have a detailed spend plan as required by the law. Let me go back. Will you commit to getting online how and where the American taxpayers' dollars with regard to the Department of Commerce are being spent as is required by the law?
I will, of course, follow the law, but it is my understanding, as I've been advised, that we have filed precisely according to the CR's requirement.
I do not know who you got your advice from, but this is the Appropriations Committee. We're looking at every spend plan. And let me just tell you, the bare bones spend plan was 3 weeks late. Surely in that time, you must have had time to put together a more detailed spend plan. This is false. The law sets out the timeline and the level of detail. This is what is happening is illegal and in contravention of what this committee does and it puts together. And if you can't make a commitment, I take that as no, you will not commit, so that the public has no idea of what any agency in this administration is, how they're spending the taxpayers' dollars and where those dollars are going. I yield back and wait for a second round. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your indulgence.
Hey, everybody. Ben Meiselas here from the MeidasTouch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popak's new law firm. It's called the Popak Firm. Michael Popak's pursuing his dream of starting his own law firm, really based on the popular demand by all the Meidas Mighty and legal AFers who are approaching Michael Popak with their cases and saying, can you help us? And at that time, Popak was not able to. So he went out on his own. He started the Popak Firm, where he is now handling catastrophic injury cases like car accident cases, trucking cases, malpractice cases, big negligence cases, wrongful death cases. So if you or someone you know have a case like this, the consultation with Popak's firm is free. Give him a call. See if you have a case. It's thepopakfirm.com, thepopakfirm.com, or you can call 877-POPOK-AF, P-O-P-O-K-A-F. So 1-877-POPOK-AF. Give Michael Popak a call. And I'm really proud of you, Popak. Thanks for all the hard work you're putting in. By the way, I want to give a quick shout out to Snapstream. That's the software that we use here at the MeidasTouch Network. ASIN and Rupert's not with the MeidasTouch Network, but ASIN is. But they use Snapstream to pull these clips. We have a description. If you were interested in how to use Snapstream, the link is in the description below. Next up, you have Howard Lutnick being questioned by Congressmember Morell. Play this clip.
But it will take time. I view letting the greatest deal maker that the United States has, who's in the Oval Office, let him make the deals. He is making the deals. I'm working on them all the time. The deal for America will be opening access to markets that have been closed for hundreds of billions of dollars, and then charging and protecting industries which have been attacked by foreigners like steel and aluminum, where the foreign governments, they give, imagine, a steel blast furnace. You think how that melts
Yeah, but
They give free or very cheap energy, and they make it unfair. So we're just going to get to a better deal for America, and it won't take that long, but it's a better deal for America.
Well, I appreciate. I think many people would not agree with your assessment that the occupant of the White House is the greatest deal maker ever. I'm certainly not the greatest deal maker ever. I've never gone bankrupt in businesses that I've been involved in. So I'm not sure I rely on that, but I also don't want to rely on a single individual. But to my point, the advancing of tariffs and then bringing them back and but how that goes to the predictability issue. I don't know how people can rely on what the tariff situation is going to be, even when the courts in the United States have said emergency powers expressed by the president are well beyond what was envisioned by the Congress. So on predictability, I would just say, because I think we'll probably agree to disagree.
Now, here's a story that I think is not getting enough attention, that a federal judge from New York just blocked Donald Trump's efforts to eliminate Job Corps. And I want to show you how Trump's cabinet labor secretary was cross-examined brilliantly by Democrats on this point. So on Wednesday, a U.S. judge temporarily stopped the Trump regime from moving ahead with an effort to eliminate the Job Corps, the largest U.S. job training program for low-income youth. It was U.S. District Judge Andrew Carter in Manhattan issuing a temporary restraining order in a lawsuit filed by trade groups representing contractors that operate Job Corps centers. Carter ordered the government not to terminate Job Corps contractors or stop work at Job Corps centers until a further ruling in the case. Then he ordered the Labor Department to appear at a court hearing on June 17th. The lawsuit alleged that the U.S. Department of Labor is violating federal law and its own regulations by abruptly shuttering the program, a plan the agency announced last week. Job Corps was created by Congress in 1964 and allows 16 to 24-year-olds from disadvantaged backgrounds to obtain high school diplomas or an equivalent vocational certificate and licenses in on-the-job training. The program currently serves about 25,000 people at 120 Job Corps centers run by contractors, and the Labor Department, in announcing the end of this program, said it was not cost effective. So here is Labor Secretary Lori Chavez-DeRemer being cross-examined by Democrats here, and some really tough Democrats, because Lori Chavez-DeRemer had previously said that she was a champion of Job Corps, but she absolutely was not a champion of Job Corps. So watch as these Democrats cross-examine her. Let's play this clip.
Unfortunately, under your leadership, the department is trying to eliminate the Women's Bureau, which would mean the end of WANTO, which is a program for women in apprenticeship and non-traditional occupations. I just want to say I hope that this administration is not trying to close the successful program in this important bureau because the word women is in the title. But what I want to talk about is a follow-up on our conversation about Job Corps. As you know, our home state of Oregon has 3 Job Corps centers under the jurisdiction of the Department of Labor. 2 of those are in the district I represent, Pivot in Portland and Tongue Point in Astoria, which is residential. A year and a half ago, you proudly announced on social media that the National Job Corps Association named you a Job Corps champion. And I have a here. I'd also like to submit for the record a bipartisan appropriations letter requesting maintained funding for Job Corps in fiscal year 2025, which you signed. I'd like to submit that to the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, it will be submitted.
Thank you. And now, Madam Secretary, you've made a starkly abrupt shift from a champion to a destroyer of this important program. And at the end of last week, you ordered 99 Job Corps centers across the country to shut down operations by June 30th, sending their students off campus no later than tomorrow, June 6th. Fortunately, a judge has blocked that effort, at least temporarily, but I tell you that the students are distraught and so are the local communities. On April 25th, the Department of Labor released report titled Job Corps Transparency Report. What role did DOGE have in that report?
I want to be clear. The decision was not to eliminate Job Corps. Only Congress can eliminate Job Corps.
I appreciate that, and I'm going to follow up on that. But I need to know what role DOGE had in this report, this Job Corps Transparency Report.
The Department of Labor does have the delegation and authority to halt those center contracts, including program operations for Job Corps.
What role did DOGE have?
I know.
Sorry, Madam Secretary. I just want an answer. What role did DOGE have in that report?
Thank you, Congresswoman. based on what you just said in the last statement about the TRO that was given last night, it actually gives me great pause that I cannot discuss the details now because of that TRO. I mentioned it on the outset. I want to give you these answers. I want to continue to have these conversations. The transparency report is where I can lead and talk to you about. Those numbers were 2023.
But did DOJ write the report is my question.
The Department of Labor, the government efficiency employees are Department of Labor employees. So if you're asking me about DOJ is in Department of Labor, yes, they're in every agency.
And did they participate in writing that report?
Yeah, we were together and working with that report.
Because I do know that there was an earlier version that was posted, and then a later date, a staffer who's been reported to be a staffer with DOJ replaced that report. Is that accurate?
I don't know what you're referring to about replacing that report.
There were two different versions apparently posted.
Okay.
So I want to move on.
It's from program year 2023, those numbers.
I know you say the numbers are, but I'm asking about the report specifically.
The report from this year in 2023.
And as you noted, you Department of Labor called the contract terminations for Job Corps pauses. But yesterday, the Oregonian, our hometown newspaper, wrote that a new operator is not expected to be named. So does the Department of Labor intend to reopen these campuses? And that's just a yes or no question.
Under the TRO granted by the Southern District of New York, I cannot discuss this further in detail.
Madam Secretary, the fact that an issue is in litigation is not a sufficient legal basis to allow you to evade congressional oversight. And Secretary McMahon was here yesterday for hours and didn't once use litigation as an excuse for not answering the question.
Well, had I been here yesterday, I wouldn't have had to use it either. But because that injunction was late last night, I have to respect that the TRO is in place.
I'll just note there are many injunctions against the Department of Education as well. So if these are truly pauses, that would mean the Department of Labor intends to reopen the campuses. If there's no plan or intent on reopening, they're closures. So which did you intend, to pause or to close?
We paused. We made the decision to do so. The Department of Labor has the delegation of authority to halt center operations and those contracts, including program operations for Job Corps sites. That being said, we are going to comply with the TRO that was issued yesterday.
I appreciate that. So if you're saying it was a pause, that means that you intend to reopen those campuses. Is that correct?
The report, I'm replacing the report online, is inaccurate. The first report posted, thank you for referring this, on the wrong spot, and it was reposted that same day. So that was to your question on the two reports.
Yeah, I appreciate
for clarification.
That.
Thank you for.
And I need to get another question. And I know you're going to comply with the temporary restraining order, and I appreciate that. But Secretary Dreamer, you say you're going to send these students back to their home of record. How many different Job Corps students
The
are
gentlelady's time has expired.
If I could ask the Congresswoman or the Secretary to submit that, it's a really critical issue. These students do not have homes to go to.
If any exception to this TRO, I promise you, I will answer your questions fully.
Thank you all.
Thank the gentlelady.
Record, I yield back.
Yeah, that was a powerful, powerful moment indeed, right there. And then let me show you this moment with Congressmember Kassar. Play this clip.
You think that workers should be working in 100-degree heat 5 hours straight without a break during that 5 hours?
Well, again, I will not give my personal opinion because as a Secretary of Labor, I cannot put my thumb on the scale. I know you understand.
I know you're not. I guess my question, and I'm not even trying to be competitive.
In Arizona, I understand there's difference geographically across the nation.
Totally. And so to be real, so last summer, the heat index in my district hit 117 degrees.
Understood.
I feel like we should at least be able to say 117 degrees. You're working for hours. Right. You're in charge of workplace safety. Saying we probably should say that if it's 117 degrees, the industry should give workers a break.
I hope that is what you are saying to each other, and that you will develop a policy, and I will enforce the law of that policy as a Secretary of Labor.
Okay. I guess what I want to then communicate to you, Secretary, is that I hope that we don't allow, and I hope that you don't allow, the big business lobby to come here in public and say that actually they're okay with having a requirement for there to be water breaks. Maybe they don't agree specifically with the exact Biden requirements, but don't let them come here and say that they're okay with some requirements for rest breaks and that have them say that in public, but then them go and in private push or a toothless rule that results in no requirements. I think that that would be really devastating, would put people's lives at risk. And we hear all the time here this thing of, well, not one size fits all. Well, let's talk about a specific size. 90-degree heat, 95-degree heat. Employers should be required to do something, and they should be real requirements. And I hope, just as you committed to meeting with some of my colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle, I hope you can commit to meeting with us as well.
Absolutely. Always will meet with all members of Congress for the best policy. That is my responsibility, and it's my honor to do so.
Thank you, and I yield back.
Great stuff right there. We'll keep you posted. Just wanted to share those cross exams with you. You could judge for yourself how you feel about it, but I want to bring these congressional hearings to your attention. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.